Alright, this part we're still working on that stripe I screwed up. So I've taken it back to the page 1 and I'm making reference marks as to where it lines up on the model. Or on this page 2, and I moved it back. Now we can delete this one. And all we do now, take this, put it there, hit Control T, find our center pivot point, drag it to the dot. You want it centered to the black dot. Then kind of scroll till that lines up with the edge, and there. Now we can delete this part that we don't need. Trying to get the black dots out too. We're going to end up deleting most of this anyway. But what's important is this outer area here. So we want that black dot here. And we hit the black dot. Yeah, it doesn't look like we're going to use all of this part either. We may have to shrink it down. I'll show you. So take this black dot, line it up with this, which puts it as a continuation of this part here. Control T. Click to move the pivot point somewhere nearby, and then move it to the center of the square, or dot, and move so that it lines up with the edges. Yeah, see that? It doesn't stick out. If you look at the picture, it doesn't go much past the black or the rear window. Go to the one in the black. Goes to this thing, which is actually on the engine, so we won't see it. But we're looking at that there, which is this vent here, and it probably stops about right there. Actually, we'll stop it right here. So we're just gonna E to erase. Alright. Sometimes you gotta it misbehaves. Alright. Yeah, see it's misbehaving. Control D, always make sure it's deselected. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab this and the select tool. Control T. Grab our pivot point, put it on the end, bring it to the touch point. And erase the dot. Then we're going to erase this part here that we don't need, because it's in the black. V to move, Alt to copy, drag it over, transform, flip horizontal, and drag it to the, sometimes you gotta move things out of the way, drag it so it lines up, just like that, and flatten. No, we'll shift E to flatten. Now what I want to do, since I want to use the same orange color, go back to page 1, select I to do the eyedropper to select the color, G to paintbrush, make sure it's set to 100 by pressing 0, then drop drop it in. And that is how we do that. Now the second stripe. That second stripe, we're going to have to do some research on. See, it kind of angles up. So what we're going to do, new layer. M, and then Shift M to make it round. Turn off the background so we can see. And we're just kind of going to make our shape. D, stroke, 1 on the inside. Alrighty. And this one, what we're going to do is we kind of got to figure out our shape. Control T. If we look at the picture, it kind of does that. So we kind of find what part of that oval does that and where. And we can even shrink it down if we need to. Pivot it a little. Move things out of the way if you need to. I'm thinking, right now, yeah, right here. That's going to be our pivot thing right there. So E, delete what we don't need. I'm thinking we want that to go to right here. It does go a little longer. Maybe this much. You kind of want to pay attention. These denote the curve, so this is actually the bottom of the helicopter. This area here is the side. And you realize, and you look, and it's going to be right above the door. So look at page 1 to see where that door was. And you'll see it's right there, just above where those double things are. So this line here, if we look, it starts just at the bottom of that door. So right there. Alrighty. Control V again to make a copy. And we're gonna have to manipulate this one. And see, the problem we got is the stuff that's on the screen is still counting as part of the piece that we want to manipulate, so you got to get rid of it. Anyways, alrighty. There's some of it left. Yeah, there's a corner right there. Alright. Try and just delete everything so that what we want is that. So, you can't activate things while it's in. Now, I want to make this shape just point at each end and then gets wide. So what we're going to do is we are going to start this pointing right there. And we are going to tweak the hell out of this until it does what I want it to do. This part could take a while. And the problem with only getting 10 minutes on a recording is that everything gets interrupted. So what I'm doing is I'm stretching it on one axis until we get that point there. And that is basically what I want it to do. So we're going to erase that extra bit, and we're going to flatten down. That way we get it's one piece. Reactivate that, and that's where we want that to be. Maybe a little farther back so it doesn't overlap. Alright, now find a reference point on the second piece, which I'm going to put right there. Select our extra piece here, our stuff we want to move. And V to move, and move this to the other end of our reference point, which is right there. You'll see that's there. Comes that there. Control T. Click to move it. Move the pivot point to a corner. Then drag it to this dot and twist until we get that lined up. Deselect with Control D. Erase the dot. And we got that doing that. But what I want to do, I want it not quite so, because it's going to end up in it's not doing what I want it to do. So we're going to shrink that back down to that. And then that. And then we're going to reconnect this to here. As you can see, it has changed slightly. So we must do the manipulating on this side too. Control T, and while I'm going to do with this one, squeeze it a little continuously until it's right where I want it to be. Right there. Control D, and we're just going to take this, draw a line to connect them. Do our dot again, select, get our whole piece that we want to move. You can always hit Control or the space bar to make a hand or to drag. Alright. V, drag to our reference point. T, pivot point move, drag it to the dot, twist to get to there. Alright, now what we're going to do here is we're going to do diagonal drag. So I'm just going to end it right there. It's not doing what I want it to do. It's supposed to kind of stick under there. So I think what I want to do, yeah, that's what I want to do. Problem is it's got too much angle. So, drag the whole piece, give it less angle. Alright. E again, because we don't need this dot. We need a new dot right there. Make sure you get the dot. Grab the piece. V. Double click to close. V. Move it to the dot. Control T. Define the center. Move it to the dot again. Angle it so that lines up. Control D, E. Alright, now what I'm going to do, the fewer parts you can line up against, the better. Sometimes you just hit select, Control T, drag it down. Alright, so that is that. Deselect before you do anything if you plan on moving whole parts. Edit, transform, flip horizontal, and try and line up visually where you think it's supposed to go. That's about right. Alright, now I'm going to go back because I've noticed that they couldn't get into these tight corners. So, reselect, make sure we're at 100% on our opacity, and there. Same for here. Alright, now the color on these look black. So you know my rule for black is I never do straight black. It's always opacity of 80%. Hit D for default. G. And we're gonna fill in the squares. B8. You know where I can't make the corner, you just hand draw it in. The reason you don't want to try and use the bucket to fill is because most of the time you can get lucky, but if you don't, you end up with that. So it's easier just to use the brush and just draw it in. Especially in tight areas like here where there's a long area that won't get filled. That's basically it for the markings on this helicopter. We'll have to add the tail number and the US Navy on the engines, which we'll do in the next video. One thing you always want to make sure you do is if you're going to have a lot of military models, especially the United States, you want to have Amarillo USAF as your font, because that is a standard font used by U.S. military aircraft, or just anything. Well, except for this one. This one apparently uses a standard Arial, so that comes default. Make sure you're in all caps. You're set to bold. Another thing, check your settings here. That should be 100. That should be 100%. Actually, this should be set to 0. So that's it for the fuselage. Next up, we want to add Navy did it go? Various other helicopters I've thought of ideas of. But, okay, we want to add the Navy right here, the tail rotor, and that's H135, the tail number. So, Navy right here. Plus, I want to darken in some of these areas here, which is in the engine area. So, G8 for our defaults. Now, one thing I usually do is what I'll do is select anywhere, like here, where it's going to end up being black. You select inverse, B, blow it up, take your opacity to 80, and then with select inverse, you see it fills it in. Watch out where you click, because some things tend to go haywire if you just click randomly. And you see there, that is filled in. Control D. Now, you'll notice this has a large black area that does not appear to be represented on the model. Must be an older version. Or the model's an older version. So what we want to do is try and kind of figure out where that's going to go. That's that. Alright, so that is this vent here. Apparently on this one it's larger. So, new layer. And that is just not going to work. Because if you look, not quite straight. So, stroke to make, because we want a box. And we just kind of line it up with the... What you can do is use these lines here, because they're obviously going to be vertical. Put it like that. And the only problem being, as you can tell, what we're going to do, we're going to erase this part here. So what you do is kind of make that go away. Like I said, the fewer parts you have to cross, the better. So if you can fudge the panel lines or markings a little bit, go for it. Now, I need this curved. So, we are going to distort. And it did not do what I wanted to do. So, friendly neighborhood, curved, circle. New layer, stroke, and we're just going to try and put it, oops. Watch when you're randomly typing, so you never know what's going to show up. We kind of want it like that. Alright, so we're going to erase this. Well, not all of that though, because I might need it. erase all of this into about there. And we're just gonna copy, do our standard copy and drag. And we're gonna take this guy and because him, well, right here. I want this at the top to represent the top of the thing. And we're going to make that line up. Alright. So, now we erase what we don't need. We don't need that. Don't need that. We don't need that. And we don't need that. And of course we don't need all of this. That is our little engine vent. If you hit Control E, it combines each layer, kind of a stack down like a stack of pancakes. Alright, now we don't need this part anymore, so we're going to erase it. Both sides. Now, in the picture, it's black. I can almost, but it's also got this outline around it. So, we want that outline. The easiest way to do it, duplicate, Control T, make sure these are equal, and shrink it in a little. And then what you can do is just distort to kind of get it to do what you want it to do. And then L, grab a part, Alt to copy it, and drag it down. And do the same on this side. And I don't, B, shrink it down to 1. And it's not going to be perfect because that angle's down and that doesn't. So that's what we're going to do. And you'll notice there are some pretty good size things here that screws to hold it on. M, we're still round, about that size. New layer. M, stroke. And then just kind of place them where you think they should go. And notice that one came out a little too big, so we'll shrink it down some. And just kind of place them where you think they should go. And you'll notice they're piling up here, so you can maneuver them as you need to. Now, one thing I'm thinking, I don't think it sticks out that much. I think it does actually, so I don't think we need Shift M again to take back to your square.